Hey there, fight friends. Welcome to the MMA show, the show where we only talk about one thing, and that is Canadian mixed martial arts. If there's a fight promotion or a fighter somewhere else in the world, a UFC somewhere, and there's no Canadian on it, I don't really know about it, and I don't want to talk about it. That's a good thing because this week we've got 5 great Canadian combat guests to share with you. We're going to start off with the fighter who is perhaps, possibly, probably the most eagerly anticipated fight card of the past half dozen years. And that is, of course, the UFC Freedom 250 card. So you know we're talking about the one and only Aiemann Zahabi, Montreal, TriStar Gym, one of the best fighters in the world, one of the best fighters in Canada, and he is getting his biggest shot yet to date. He is the number 6 ranked UFC bantamweight going up against the number 3 ranked bantamweight in Sugar Sean O'Malley, and this fight has huge implications. Number one, Aimann's the only Canadian on the card. Number two, if he wins this fight, this has some serious title implications for the bantamweight division. He'll be at the top. He'll probably take over Sugar Sean's number 3 spot, maybe even higher. Who knows? So what's next? Maybe a title shot. It's exciting. When you hear me talk to Aiemann, you'll hear that even though he's aware this is a huge fight, to him it's just another fight. Sugar Sean's just another opponent, and he's taking this fight as it's just another fight. You'll hear him explain it better, but it makes perfect sense to me. Okay, following him, Aiemann. I think you've noticed in the past little while, I've been trying to expand outside of the MMA sphere in Canadian combat sports. I'm still sticking with Canadian athletes only, but I'm trying to go to other different sports. So today, after Aiemann, we're talking to a man named Robbie Lavoie. If you're not familiar with Robbie is one of the most highly regarded sport karate fighters in the world. He's been fighting for decades, and he is incredibly, massively skilled. If you've never seen him fight before, go to his Instagram. It's BRShow, BRSHOW, and just take a look at some of the things this man can do with his body. The way that he can close the distance from outside to inside in the snap of a finger, and he can extend his body out and stretch it out completely. I don't know what it's called with legs, but like his wingspan, his leg wingspan is absolutely insane. Anyway, Robbie is fighting in Liverpool, England this weekend, and I actually might be there, so I'll let you know. And he is fighting in the main event of TKO 4. TKO is a newish organization that is coming up that is heavily striking focused. A lot of great stand-up fights, and Robbie will be fighting in the main event, so it's exciting. We'll get to meet Robbie and hear what he has to say. Really interesting guy. Following Robbie, we have, and this show is stacked, by the way, we have a true legend and pioneer of the sport of mixed martial arts in Canada, Bill the Butcher Mahood. Bill is an old school veteran. He's a UFC veteran. He's fought all around Canada, fought all around the world. And he's at the point now where he's transitioned out of fighting himself, and he is a gym owner, a coach. And you can also add promoter hat to that resume. He's promoted before, but this is his first time in a handful of years since before COVID. And he is putting on Extreme Fighting Championship in Grande Prairie, Alberta this weekend. The main event, of course, being Ian Stoby versus Mashreghi, which should be a really interesting fight. And I think you know because you follow me, but if you don't, there's actually a really close connection between Bill Mahood and Ian Stoby. So make sure you listen to the interview and find out what that is and how cool it is. I was actually blown away when I found it out. Ian and Ash is a wicked fight. I'm really happy when I heard this was being matched up. It's the age-old story about the young whippersnapper, the up-and-comer, the prospect going up against the wily veteran. Ash is no pushover. He is a warrior through and through, and he has that cage experience. I don't remember off the top of my head exactly how many fights he has, but it's more than most of you put together. And he's going up against Ian and see if he can derail that progress that Ian's been making as a 3-0 pro. It's an exciting main event for XFC. Oh, by the way, XFC will be streaming the fights on Facebook, on their Facebook page. So as soon as I get the proper address for that, I'll make sure I'll share it for you. And I will put that on the XFC 12 page at MMA.ca, my website. If you go to the upcoming fights tab, you'll see a list of all the fights happening in Canada and around the world and all the Canadian fighters who are fighting. And under XFC 12, you'll see that link to Facebook. Okay, next we're talking with a 6-0 professional mixed martial artist. He is also a really up-and-comer. He's known as the Kryptonian, of course, Karim Henniene. Karim Henniene trains out of Montreal, and he, is a really interesting guy. He's got some pretty strong thoughts on the state of striking in Canada and compared to the rest of the world. and you'll listen to him and he'll talk about how he just kind of made his own destiny happen. He had some people in his life that he wasn't happy with the direction things were going, and he had an opportunity and he just took it. Now he's on his third fight with the PFL, and this should be a banger. So let's wish him luck and make sure you watch that. Finally, we're talking with, and I like to span all sorts of fighters. I go from UFC fighters to, main events to amateur fighters. And now we're going to be talking with Nick Falcao, an amateur fighter out of Montreal as well. He is fighting in the main event of the Fight Quest 61. Fight Quest 61. And let me double check my notes, but I think he is fighting for a title. And I'm not sure if he's a bantamweight or a featherweight. Forgive me, it'll come to me in just a second. So Nick Falcao is fighting Rita Dreff, and that's for the bantamweight title, for the Fight Quest bantamweight title. So Fight Quest is a very reliable and steady amateur fight promotion in Quebec. So they give all the amateur fighters a lot of great opportunities. So let's watch Nick and see what he has to say. That's about it for now. I try to slow down my talking, and I try not to talk too much. So I hope I'm getting a little bit better at that. Please do me a favor, if you can do anything. Whatever platform you're watching this on, especially on YouTube, if you could like it and follow and subscribe to my channel, it'd be greatly appreciated. And of course, if you could share this anywhere you can, also greatly appreciated. I'm really trying to grow the MMA brand, and it's support like yours that really helps to make the channel grow. Thank you for everything, and enjoy the show, and I will see you at the fights. Aiemann Zahabi, it's great to see you, sir. How are you?
Doing great, man. Great to be on.
Thanks. The last time we chatted was before your fight to Ling, and that was an exciting one. That was a fantastic fight.
Yeah, great knockout. Charles Oliveira stole my bonus, but besides that, it was a great night.
Yeah, it was still a great night. So, Aiemann, whenever I plan an interview, I always have to take some foundational considerations into effect. I have to ask myself, what do I want to get out of the interview? I have to ask myself, what do I want my audience to get out of the interview? And perhaps most importantly, I have to ask what my subject, the fighter, wants to get out of the interview. And so you're a bit of a tough nut right now, because your fight is very unique. Even amongst other Canadian UFC fighters and UFC fights, this is very special. You are a number 6 bantamweight going up against a number 3 bantamweight. So this has, championship implications. It's, I think the only way you can describe the Freedom 250 card is it's a spectacle. It's unlike anything else. So much press, so much media, so much everything. So I'm going to ask you a question. It might seem like a simple question. In fact, I already asked it to you at the start of the interview, but this time, like, I mean it from inside, from the heart, from the soul, from the middle of everything. How are you in this moment?
Ah, blessed. I feel so like my prayers have been answered. I can't wait for June 14th.
So whenever I also want to take a look at how I can differentiate myself from the numerous other interviews you've done. It's been difficult for me to keep up with all of them because you're all over the place. The UFC's done a fantastic job with marketing as per normal, but even more so for this card. So I have to ask, okay, what can I give you that's different than all these other hundreds of interviews you do all the time? So especially with all the attention on the Freedom 250 card, I'm sort of leaning toward the idea of maybe and this is crazy, I know, treating you like a person and not a product. So I'm not necessarily going to ask, I'm not going to ask you some of the questions that everyone else is asking you. I'm sort of more wanting to focus on you as an individual, as a human being, because this is a huge thing for you, man. So I'm wondering, I'm aware that you have a lot of experience, a lot of fights. Still, this is kind of special. So I'm wondering, from the inception when you first heard that it was offered to you to now, take us through and just, if you, as best as you can, explain your thoughts and your feelings as you've been progressing up. Is it just like a normal fight to you? I know I'm sort of getting that vibe, but it can't be, can it?
Well, it is because at the end of the day, I'm still only fighting one guy. It's nice. I love the fact that I'm going to be fighting in front of people who've maybe never even seen MMA, let alone UFC fans who've never even seen me fight. There are some fans out there who actually follow UFC who don't even know anything about me. I've been quietly winning 7 fights in a row in the background, but I always get asked, "Who is this guy? Who is this guy?" And I feel like this is going to be the one that puts me on that mainstream, and no one's going to question who I am. They're all going to know, and I will be undeniable by the end of it.
Yeah.
But. I've only been getting happier and more excited because I feel like it's a win-win for me. As long as I go out there and perform, I can't lose. yeah, it's possible I lose the fight, but I can't lose in life. Like, I'm a success. Look who I'm surrounded with. Look at the other 13 guys on the card. We're all successful fighters. You know, Dana White even said it. The people he chose are people he trusts who won't get crushed by moments like this. And I feel like that says a lot about my character, and it says a lot
Mhm.
about my performances in the UFC. You know, for now, for the first time ever, you can finally buy Zahabi merch on the UFC store. They're selling my t-shirts. They're selling my jerseys. I'm gonna be in the UFC 6 video game. You know, it's like I finally broken out, and it's only been blessings for me this fight camp. You know, and I'm excited, and I feel like a lot of people forget that I called out O'Malley. Like, I see my path to victory. Just because you don't know who I
Mhm.
am doesn't mean I don't have one. And I feel like I'm going to surprise a lot of people.
Yeah, your career up to this point has been very unusual, especially for well, for any fighter, let alone a UFC fighter that's top level like you are. And what I mean by that is you were in really no rush, or maybe you wanted to be in a rush at one point, but your career has progressed very methodically, very progressively. You've been fighting for a long time, man, since Slam 1. I've got photos on my hard drive from your first ever fight. And you've taken your time. You've taken good fights. You've taken smart fights. You've taken fights that, as Mandel Nato says, every fight that's presented to you should help you solve a problem when it comes to yourself. You go into these fights and you shouldn't just fight somebody who you know you can beat like super easily. You need to find a way that you can be challenged and you can overcome that challenge.
Yeah.
So the fact that you've got so much time, so many years fighting, and relatively few fights compared to some fighters, and as far as I know, you're completely healthy. That's just a testament to long term, smart, strategic planning.
Yeah, you know, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And I go to all these fights with my brother, and you know, he's a mastermind of the game. And I have my mentor George St. Pierre along the way, and I have so many great mentors like Yves Jabouin and like David Loiseau and so many other great
Mhm.
fighters. You know, Ryan Hall is a good friend of mine. I learned a lot from. John Nanhar is a great mentor. You know, so I've been blessed with people who are very smart and strategic, and they know how to plan for the future. Right? You know, you need to have a plan. You can't just guess
Mhm.
your way through life. And I'm a father too, and I have a wife and kids, and I gotta make sure that I include them in my plans, and I provide a good life for them at the same time. So I'm always, taking care of my personal life and
Yeah.
taking care of my career, but I put thought into everything, and it's it's not a surprise to me that I'm here. I know it's a surprise to a lot of people, but I never had any doubt. No matter how hard things got, I kept my blinders on, and I just made sure that if I do all the work and I turn every stone that is needed, I will make it to the end. And now I'm here.
Mhm. I think it's easy for some fans, especially the jaded ones, to sort of ignore fighters up until they reach a certain point, right? Like they always find reasons why this fighter's a bum or he's no good or he's never going to make it. And I think that kind of attitude, some of the UFC fans phrased that toward you maybe at the start because they thought you were, air quotes, just for Oz's brother.
Yeah.
But you've systematically shown that you belong in the UFC. And for me, I think perhaps the defining moment of your career up until this point was your fight against Jose Aldo, when at one point he got you down and I was biting my fingernails, man. Like I thought it was looking scary for you. And you came back, you persevered, and you won that fight. And a lot of people I talk to, they also agree that's the moment where they go, "Holy frig, man, this guy has got something." So that was just an incredible moment.
Yeah, and I agree. I feel like that's the moment that turned people around to me all over again. Maybe people start looking at me a second time and giving me another chance. Because up in that moment, everyone thought I would never achieve anything in the UFC, and I feel like I really don't get
Mm.
the acknowledgement from the fans or the media really in general. But things are changing. The tide is turning. I noticed it now, especially this fight that I'm in the process of doing now. I'm getting interviewed by
Mhm.
outlets that haven't interviewed me until since I was a prospect in 2017. So it's nice. They're coming back
Mhm.
on the bandwagon here, and I totally understand. Listen, if I'm not the one who's gonna get you views, I get why you don't want to interview me. But now that I'm getting people views again, everyone's coming back full circle. So it's an interesting position to be in, but I'm aware of it all. I forgive, I don't forget.
Yeah. So you're in the DC area currently. I'm wondering if you've had a chance yet to go to the White House grounds and take a look at the progress of the cage and all that stuff, and if you've had a chance to see it up close.
Yeah, I did. I went over it on the first night I was here, and it's beautiful, man. But we can't really get very close to it. But it was nice to see it, and that's one of the reasons why I came out early to walk the grounds and see it, so that on fight night it doesn't. It's not oohs and ahs out of me. It's like yeah, it's just another place, you know.
Yeah. Have you ever seen the movie Hoosiers?
No.
Hoosiers is from the 1980s, starring Gene Hackman, and it was a basketball movie. It was about a small team from a small town in Indiana, and they out against all the odds they made it to the state championship. And so they traveled to, where is it, Indianapolis or wherever it is, and they go to like the stadium, like this huge high school stadium for the other team they're playing. And they walk in, and all the kids, like, they're looking around, and the bleachers are reaching to the sky, and it seems so huge. And they're all looking at it, and they're all intimidated by the size of the stadium, right, compared to where they came from. And Gene Hackman, the coach, he said, watch this. He took out a tape measure and he measured the lines to the lines. And he measured the floor to the basketball net.
Mm,
And you know what? All the dimensions were the exact same as their gym back home. And he said, just because it's bigger doesn't mean you don't belong here. So I think that's maybe, just something to consider when you're there. Like you said at the start,
yeah.
this is just a fight, man. You've done how many? So it's
Yeah.
almost the same thing.
It's the same thing. Listen, no, the venue, the White House isn't fighting for Sean O'Malley, and no matter how big his fan base is, they can't make him a better fighter than what he prepared for. I'm gonna have to fight him, and he's gonna have to fight me,
Mhm.
and it's just gonna be me and him in there, and he's gonna have to deal with me, and I'm gonna have to deal with him. Nobody could intercede. The venue doesn't intercede, so I'm excited, and I feel like it's a very winnable fight. I'm gonna go out there, and I'm gonna show the world that I have a path to victory.
Yep. Okay, I'm going to ask you a question now that my military friends wanted me to ask you, and I don't
Yeah.
know if you've been asked this before. Did you have to get any type of security screening or security clearance in order to get onto the White House grounds?
Yeah, they did a background check on all of us, my cornermen, and anybody who's sitting out on the White House grounds. Like they gave me some tickets for the White House grounds. Those people are going to get checked as well.
Nice. So did the people you give the tickets to, did they have an interview with anybody, or were they just telephone calls, or how'd that work?
No, I don't know how they're doing the background checks, but we had to give up like a lot of sensitive information, and I haven't heard back of any issues so far. I gave everything in on Monday, so I'll have more to know. I'll know more about that, I guess, in the next coming days. But yeah, a couple of my friends,
Yeah,
that I wanted to have, they didn't feel comfortable sharing such information with another government. Like it's very, it's a little bit intrusive for some people, and I
sure.
totally understand. So they're gonna go to the ellipse instead, and I'm gonna have other people come sit on the south lawn.
Yeah, yeah. Who is going to be in your corner with you this weekend or next weekend?
Yeah, there's gonna be my brother Faraz, Neil Shepard, and George St. Pierre, baby.
Oh, that's going to be incredible. So I don't typically lean on the sort of the patriotic part of the interview, or represent Canada, all that stuff, but it's got to be something that you're considering, just being the only Canadian on the card, and I'm not even sure if there's other nationalities in the card other than Americans and you, but it's got to feel kind of special knowing that you're the one and only on this huge American card.
It feels great. I'm blessed to represent Canada. I've been telling people, my parents left Lebanon during the Civil War to have a better life so that their children could achieve more. And, through cage fighting, I made it all the way to the White House, so my parents are super proud. And this is kind of like my thank you letter to Canada for accepting my parents as immigrants and giving me a better life. Canada, I was born and raised in Canada, educated in Canada. A lot of who I am has to do with Canadian system. So I just want to say thank you to the whole country and all
Yeah.
the fans who are behind me. I appreciate you all.
All right, Eamon, this is the time we're going to wrap things up, but I always
Yeah.
have a final question I like asking, and that question is there anything that you think we should have talked about that I didn't ask?
Um, no, I think you did a great job, man. I feel like we covered pretty much everything. I feel good about the interview. How do you feel? Do you feel like you missed anything big?
I don't feel I missed anything big. I
Yeah.
feel like I could talk with you for 20 more minutes, but I'm not going to
Yeah.
ask you to do that because we got a lot
Yeah. Yeah.
going
No,
on.
I
But
feel like we
yeah,
covered. You do a great
I
job,
guess
man. You
that's
do a
it.
great job.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Really appreciate it. Okay, Eamon, at that point, I'm just gonna, on behalf of everyone in Canada, all the MMA fans, all your fans are not Canadian, everyone, I just want to, number one, congratulate you on your incredible success so far in your career. And I want to wish you the best of luck. We're going to have a whole country rooting for you. We're going to be cheering you on. We're going to hope you kick some butt. And I hope that you are able to give the best performance that you've prepared yourself for. And you are the best Aiemann Zahabi you can be on the Freedom 250 night.
Thank you.
All right, there you go, fight friends. Aiemann Zahabi fighting Sean O'Malley in a huge fight at the White House next weekend. Make sure you watch it wherever you can. Robbie Lavoie, I'm so excited to be speaking with. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great, Andy. How are you doing?
I am also doing great. Thanks for
Awesome.
asking. Now, I'm going to start the interview with a confession, and that is that I am not the most knowledgeable about your chosen sport, which is sport karate. I'm primarily an MMA guy, as I'm guessing most of my audience is as well, but I'm sure my audience covers the span of all different combat sports. So I'm willing to bet that a lot of my audience might not know who you are, which I'm sorry to say, but
Yeah,
after
it's
this
okay.
weekend, they should. So could you just take a moment and just introduce yourself, say who you are, and how you got involved in combat sports and why we're talking right now?
So I started martial arts. I started with karate when I was 5 years old. So I've been doing it for about 35 years. I started competing internationally at the age of 10 and just traveled around until I think I retired from sport karate about 3 years ago. I had a pretty successful career. I made the transition to full contact combat sports when I got signed to karate combat. I had a couple fights with karate combat, and then now I'm over with total combat, fast growing UK striking promotion, man. So yeah, I just made a transition, just wanted to do something a little bit different, and just to keep learning and keep growing as a martial artist.
I think that's probably a natural progression, isn't it? Like you take yourself to certain heights, and then once that's finished, or once you've accomplished what you want to accomplish, you're always seeking that new challenge and that new
Yeah.
way to push yourself, isn't it?
I always trying to, man. I just I like learning. I'm gonna forever be a student until the day the wheels fall off, man. I'm always gonna keep learning. I'm always gonna keep growing, and always looking for a new challenge, man.
Mm.
It's fun, and I feel like if I stop learning, then I'm not gonna be true to myself.
Could you maybe take us through and just talk about sport karate and what, if there's any like specific rule sets for it? Like I know there's different forms of karate, and I know some you can kick above the waist, some you can't kick above the waist, things like that. So just talk about the sport karate you were involved in and what that looks like.
So my sport karate, we wear, I think it's like 8 ounce kind of gloves, like kind of like open handed palm gloves, with protection. It's a scoring system, so depending on the organization you're competing with, it's 2 or 3 point head kicks, 2 points or 1 point kicks to the body, and then 1 point for all hand techniques. It's kind of like a fast game of tag, man.
Yeah.
Where you first to hit, referee stops it, awards the point or no point or a clash, and then it continues. In some organizations are 3 2 minute rounds, some are 2 2 minute rounds, some are 1 2 minute rounds, and then excuse me. The cool part of it too is as you're an adult, 18 plus, once you win your weight class, you fight kind of like all the other winners of the weight classes from one
Whoa.
overall champion as well too. So that is really fun too. I like that challenge as well.
That's amazing. I've in the past week I've watched a lot of video of you fighting, and to use the word spectacular, I don't think that's too strong.
I
That's too strong of a
appreciate.
word, man. You are so fast and agile. And to top it off, I think you're 5'3", correct?
Yes, sir.
So a lot of your opponents are much taller than you, and yet your toes are touching their ears like consistently. That's absolutely nuts.
Thank you, Andy, man. I work hard, man. I've had some great coaches, great instructors throughout the throughout the years. Got some great training partners, man, and I just work hard. I'm disciplined, and I take good care of myself. And yeah, and I was successful. I'm lucky to be successful, man.
Yeah. Is this something that you're able to pay the bills? I mean, forgive me. Once again, I'm ignorant. I don't know. Do you have your own gym that you run, or how does that
Yeah,
work?
I got my own karate school. It's a Dupers Martial Arts in the city of Rockland, Ontario, just a little bit outside of Ottawa. Got my own gym, and then Yeah, like I said, I like sport karate. There's just not much money in it. It's just like I was lucky enough to be sponsored by some companies throughout the years. Got to travel, make a little bit of money here and there, but it's mostly just for passion, man.
Yeah. Now, what you're doing this weekend, right now you're currently in the UK and you are in, I don't know, not sure if you're still in Manchester or they brought you to Liverpool yet, but you're fighting this Saturday night in Liverpool and the main event TKO 4 against a man named Omar Salim
Yeah,
in the
yes,
main
sir.
event. And he's a Muay Thai guy and you're a karate guy. So
Yeah.
I've seen those kind of matchups before and they're always exciting. It's always really cool to see how you can try to enforce your skill set.
Yeah, of course, man. And like the rule set, I love the rule set here. It's above the waist kicks and punches. You're allowed sweeps, you're allowed takedowns. My fight's gonna be 5 2-minute rounds for the title. It's in an open space, so it's called an oval. It's a
Yeah.
fantastic rule set, man. I absolutely love the rule set. It'll be my third fight with Total Combat, and it's a very similar rule set to karate, what Karate Combat was too. So I have a lot of good experience in this kind of rule set.
And in those first two fights with Total Combat, you went 2-0. You looked really good. You must have made a name for yourself because they're bringing you back for a main event. It's got to be
Yeah, yes,
exciting
sir.
to know that people recognize your talent and want to support you.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. I have a great relationship with the promotion. They're an awesome promotion. I have nothing but great things to say about them. And yeah, it's growing every event and I'm looking forward to it. I'm in Liverpool now actually, and it's actually a very sunny day out here in Liverpool. Like when I got here earlier this morning, it was raining pretty hard. Got that British weather. But no, it's actually turned out to be a beautiful day.
Now, I know your focus is the fight and stuff, but I'm wondering if you're going to get a chance to do any kind of British sightseeing. Are you going to go see any of the Beatles things in Liverpool?
Yeah, actually, I was planning on going tomorrow a little bit, just for a couple hours, go by the docks a little bit and go check out some of the Beatles, like the statue and maybe the museum and such, if I have some time. But I try to keep fight week relatively kind of chill, like light workouts here and there, just to keep my body moving. I cook in my hotel room for my nutrition and stuff like that. I have a great nutritionist and makes my life easy, and I can just cruise around a little bit and just
Yeah.
stretch my legs while and see the city.
Well, if you get a chance to stroll past the Canadian Embassy, it's an absolutely beautiful building and it's large. It takes over the whole part of Liverpool that it's situated in. So,
Actually, that's
if
awesome.
yeah. All right, so let's move on to this weekend. You're fighting Omar for the title, for the TKO title. Now, what surprised me, well, I guess I shouldn't be surprised, is there's a big age discrepancy as well. You're 40 years old and he's 18 years old.
Yes,
Now,
sir.
to some people, they initially might hear that and they think it's a mismatch or what have you. But the reality is, kids these days, and Omar specifically, I looked at him, he's extremely skilled. It's not like he's just been training for
Absolutely.
6 months, he's been training for years with some high level talent. So this kind of makes me feel like it's one of those like legends with you with all that experience and all that time against the young gun coming up. What are your thoughts on this fight against Omar?
Man, Omar's a talented kid. He's a young man. He's got a lot of ability. He's got a great skill set. He's got some great training partners, great coach, man. And I expect a really good fight. I expect it to be a 5 round war. I am gonna go for a finish, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be exciting. It's just like I fought a lot of Muay Thai fighters. I've been training Muay Thai for the last 3 4 years myself, like strictly. I've seen a lot what he's gonna bring. I got a lot of training partners to try to mimic what he does.
Mhm.
I think one of my biggest advantages is gonna be he's never seen anything that I'm gonna be able to do. He
Yeah.
can't find many people that reached the levels of sport karate I did and being able to transition it into a full contact combat sport as well.
One of the things that impressed me highly about your skill set when I watched some of your tape was your ability to close the distance and stretch your body out so that your legs, like your I don't know if is it still called a wingspan for your legs? I'm not sure, but your wings,
Yeah, maybe.
your leg wingspan, man, you can get some serious distance covered in no time. So
Uh,
he's gonna have to be careful for that.
Yeah, you know what? I got a lot of tools in my bag, man, and I haven't showcased my full skill set yet in Total Combat. So I'm actually very excited to show off my skill set and my improvements over the last little bit as well.
Hmm.
Because
Now
like I said, I'm still learning as well.
and that's such a great attitude to have, to be the lifelong student, because I think as soon as you feel like you know it all, you probably don't know it all, and you're
No,
really limiting yourself.
100%, 110% agree with you.
Well, you've been training your whole life for this. You're still challenging yourself. You're still trying to reach for new heights. I'm just wondering what your long term plan is. Is this something you want to keep on going as long as you can?
Man, at this point in my career, I'm taking it fight by fight. See how I feel mentally after the fight. I got a beautiful family, beautiful wife at home, two beautiful kids. Yeah, I'm just gonna take it fight by fight.
What are there any other endeavors in the fighting field that you have your sights on? I know you say you're taking it fight by fight, but TKO, it seems like they're treating you well. This is your third fight. And once again, I'm ignorant, so I don't know the answer to this. Are there any other organizations or any other opportunities out there that you'd like to challenge yourself?
No, I think I'm gonna do finish off my career with Total Combat. I want to finish with them. They've been great to me, and yeah, I don't see myself going anywhere else after this.
Awesome. Well, Robbie, I've been following you for a while, and I'm really excited.
Thank
I got a
you.
chance to actually meet you as a person and talk with you. I'm excited for you. This is a big, really big fight, like a huge fight. So I just want to say, like, I wish you the best of luck. I hope that night you perform to the best of your abilities.
I really appreciate it, Andy, and it was great meeting you as well.
And I always like to finish my interviews by asking this question: is there anything you think we should have talked about that I didn't ask?
I don't think so, man. I think we got most of everything done.
Okay, well, there you go. All right. Robbie Lavoie, Canadian, fighting in the main event of TKO 04 in Liverpool this Saturday night. Hey there, fight friends. I know I tell you often that you are in for a treat, but this time it is a super duper awesome treat. We have a legend, a pioneer of mixed martial arts in Canada, Bill Mahood, promoter of Extreme Fighting Challenge, taking place in Grande Prairie, Alberta, this upcoming weekend. Bill, thank you so much for joining me.
How you doing? It's been a little while.
It has been a little while. You are one of those guys who you're not always up front and center. Like, I don't see your face all the time, but you're always there in the background, and you're always involved in the sport, mixed martial arts. It's got to be. I mean, this is more of a statement than a question, but it's got to be like a lifelong passion for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I started boxing when I was like 6 years old because my dad was a one-time professional boxer who ended up, getting a degree in forestry engineering. But I was getting hauled to the boxing gym as like a little guy. So yeah, no, I've been in a gym hitting somebody pretty much my whole life.
Yeah, and now you've made the transition. It's been a while now from fighter to promoter. And I was excited to see when this event was coming back, Extreme Fighting Challenge. This is actually the 12th event, but the last one, number 11, took place in 2019, which of course is just before COVID hit. So I guess I don't really have to ask why the long pause. But what I am wondering is why was the time right now?
Yeah, I mean, we started promoting back in 2001. Was our first event in Prince George. Back then, the only places that actually sanctioned MMA in Canada was Quebec, and they had just started.
Mhm.
Edmonton had just got a commission to sanction it, and then I convinced Prince George Boxing Commission to convert to the Prince George Athletic Commission, and we were the third actually legally sanctioned event in the country,
Wow,
or
that's
location
amazing.
in the country. So that was way back in the UCC days, and
Yeah.
Mark Pavlich was running MFC, and then there was us, and then right after that, Lee Meehan started in Lethbridge, and then Lee turned into probably the most prolific promoter in the country.
Yeah.
But yeah, our first event was 2001. We did a whole bunch of them so that we could give the local Prince George guys somewhere to fight. Um, we kept going through. We did a couple in Vernon. We did 12 XFCs. Well, this will be the 12th, but I've also done a couple King of the Cages with Ken Coops, and we
Mhm.
actually did a couple Bowdogs. So I think all in all, I think I'm 16 events in, And but I'm not promoting's painful. Every time I do it, I tell my wife when we're done, I said, next time I come up with this idea, just hit me in the face with a shovel. It's easy. It's a pain in the butt, but I do it because I love the sport, but I love my guys and I want my guys to be able to fight at home. So, you go through the pain and the suffering of putting one of these things together just so your guys can fight at home in front of their friends and family.
Yep. As an aside for the viewers who are watching who might be newish to the sport, do yourself a favor and Google Bodog fights. You'll be in for a treat. It was pretty special. It was pretty interesting. Bodog was a betting website back in the day. They had some incredible events. So, I hadn't thought of them in probably 5 years till you just said them right now.
Yeah, Bodog was awesome. We had a great connection with Bodog and Revolution. We were all over the world. It was great. Dennis Kang, and I mean, we had Pele, and we had just a whole bunch of our guys. We got to fight in Costa Rica and Russia, and oh yeah, it was a heck of a thing.
Yeah, it was. But now you've got Extreme Cage or Extreme Fighting Championship. You mentioned that you want to bring it to your hometown, guys. So Grande Prairie, then clearly that's where you are now. So tell me about your life there. What do you have going on?
I think I moved here about 14 years ago, when they kind of were shutting down the Revolution there in Vancouver. So we moved up here. My wife is actually from the region, so her family's all up here. So we moved up here, and of course, when a fighter moves somewhere, the first thing they do is find somewhere to train. So I've been teaching and training here the entire time, developing guys. I broke with where I was teaching out of. I'd been volunteering my time for almost 13 years, and it just wasn't going the way I wanted. So I broke with them here about 3 months ago, when we opened up Mahood Jiu-Jitsu and MMA, and all of my students from the gym that we were at moved with me, and so that's been awesome. And then we figured, well, if we're going to be moving into our own location and doing our own thing, probably the best way to celebrate that would be put on an event. So we figured, you know what, let's do it and put on an event.
That's amazing. Now, it's great that you have a chance for your local guys to fight, but the main event isn't a local guy. However, he is no stranger to you. Ian Stoby is perhaps one of the brightest mixed martial arts prospects in the country. He trains out of H2O MMA in Montreal under Coach Richard Ho, but your connection to him, and when he told me this, it actually blew my mind when he said it. He's your nephew. So, he grew up learning from the great Bill Mahood.
Yeah, he was my little Ian. When I moved here, I don't know, Ian might have been 7, something like that, and we allowed him to come and train with us. He was the only kid that I was teaching, as we didn't do kids classes back in the day. What's become a good friend of mine, Luis Martinez, he's Alex Martinez's dad. So Alex Martinez started training with me when he was about 17. Shortly after that, Luis, his dad, started training. He's a Taekwondo master. Ian was in the Taekwondo club from the time he was 5. So once he got to be a little bit bigger, a little bit older, we would allow him to come and start training with us, including Alex Martinez. So he grew up in the gym, the only kid. He was dealing with adults all the time. And he grew out of Grande Prairie, and probably, I think it's been about 2.5 years, we encouraged him to go to Montreal. He went to H2O with Coach Richard Ho, and he's been there for the last, I want to say it's 2.5 years. So, I mean, he's about as local goes, because he was born in Grande Prairie. He was raised in Grande Prairie, and then he went on to, further his training in the big city with the big team. So we're bringing him back to be the main event.
Yeah, that's incredible. Now, for a fight, especially for a main event, you can't have a great main event unless you have 2 great fighters. Ian Stoby, clearly a great fighter on the rise, and I know that you were looking for a time to find a worthy opponent for a main event for your show, and you found one in Ash Mashreghi. He is a true veteran, perhaps not at your level, but he's also, he's still a younger guy. He's a war-tested veteran inside the cage. So I'm wondering if you could tell me how you arranged, like, did when you put the call out looking for a fighter, did he approach you? Did you find him? And how did you choose him as somebody to fight Ian in the main event?
Yeah, finding Ian an opponent is actually somewhat difficult. I guess now that he's, he was 5-0 as an amateur. He's 3-0 as a pro. He's been finishing everybody in fairly short order and with what appear to be a lot of ease, even though there's so much that goes behind that you don't see. So when I'm reaching out looking for opponents, I'd put out, hey, looking for a good 170 pounder to fight at 3-0, a 3-0 opponent. And I'd have all sorts of managers call me. Oh yeah, I've
Yeah.
got this guy and this guy, and who's the opponent? Ian Stoby. Oh yeah, we're not. So it was not an
Yeah.
easy thing. We had a number of different people that we had lined up. Different things fell through. We had a guy from Brazil, but then paperwork's an issue, and it was tough. And I just kept reaching and kept looking. And I think Ash saw one of my posts saying, "Hey, I'm looking," and he reached out and said, "Hey, I might be interested." So we figured something out. So hats off to Ash, because there's a lot of guys out there who are really good up and coming 170 pounders like Ian that just are, I don't know, I don't like the word afraid, but they're afraid of the ramifications of fighting an Ian,
Mhm.
right? You're another 3-0, 4-0 guy. All these guys are afraid to lose their O's, so they tend to avoid fighting other top guys. And in one way, I don't mind that, because why would you pit two top young Canadians against one another until
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
big show? But it still makes it tough as a promoter to get that opponent, and to get an opponent that you know isn't like an 0-9 guy or something.
Mhm. I think it's tough for a guy like Ian because at 3-0 as a professional, that record does not match the skill set that he has. So he is a much better fighter than a 3-0 fighter. He just hasn't had more fights yet. So if that makes any kind of sense at all. Like he could easily be taking on guys with much bigger records than him, and he's at that level. But for an opponent to fight him, I think I think when a fighter is choosing their fights, especially at the start of their career, it's smart for them to pick fights that accomplish something for them, right? You want to go in and you want to test yourself, you want to challenge yourself, but you also want to have a realistic possibility, a chance of winning that fight if you do everything right. I think with Ian, they see him and they see, man, I don't think the chances are good to beat him to start with, but even if everything goes perfectly, it's still probably not going to happen. So I understand why they're a little hesitant.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, we had a couple people who had agreed, and then he had his last Samurai fight. And I mean, a big shout out to Samurai, because Ian is under contract with Samurai, and
Mhm.
we worked with them, and they were absolutely wonderful in allowing him to come home and fight for Uncle Bill and Coach Luis, because we're doing this together, this promotion, in front of his friends and family that he grew up with. So big shout out to Samurai, because they are awesome to deal with, and we're happy to have him come out here and perform at home. So yeah, I think they saw that last fight, and he just, every time he fights, he looks better. So the
Mhm.
one guy I did have signed, after that fight, I got the call saying, yeah, well, it changed his mind. So again, hats off to Ash for stepping up. And I mean, he's a true war horse. He's a veteran.
Mhm.
He's tough as hell. I think he's going to be Ian's, toughest opponent to date, and he's got the balls to actually get in there with a young
Mhm.
up and comer. A lot of guys just don't want to do it.
I think Ash Mashreghi kind of follows the mindset that Lee Meehan explained to me once. You mentioned Lee earlier on. When I first met Lee, I'm going to say 2006 or 2007, I was getting to know him and learn about him, and he told me his fight philosophy, and for him it was simple. He said, "Fighters fight." And I think that's exactly what Ash Mashreghi does. He goes in there, he beat Chris Bryan in Calgary. He goes all over the place, and he just goes there with the intent to decapitate somebody. And half the time he does it, half the time he doesn't. But he's definitely a dangerous potential opponent for Ian. So I love the matchup.
Yeah, and that's an old school mentality. Like Lee and I, we've known each other from day one. Like Lee, 2001, our first card, Lee Meehan was there. All the first rumbles, we were there. Like, there wasn't a lot of people. People don't realize in Vancouver, there was nobody training. Marcus Torres was doing some Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. Dennis Kang was doing that with him, but really he wasn't training MMA. Dennis and I actually met at a Lee Meehan event and started training together. And we started bringing in guys like Tony Pep and Nick Ungala to help us to actually do MMA. There wasn't all these gyms. I believe Chris Franco and Lance Gibson at that point still had Gibson Franco Gibson Pancration. They were like it. They were the only guys who actually did what you could consider being MMA, calling it pancration back then. So
Mm-hmm.
it was it's not an easy thing. So Lee, myself, us old guys, there was never the I'm going to be a professional athlete. I'm going to do this for a living. I'm going to make it to shows that are actually going to pay me a living wage, and I'm going to be able to do this. Your attitude was you just loved to scrap, so you just fought and you went everywhere and you
Yep.
fought everybody, and really it didn't care.
Yep.
There's still some of that left, and I think Ash is kind of one of those guys. Let's just fight. Whereas a
Yep.
lot of times the young guys they miss that. They see the big lights in the UFC or
Mm-hmm.
one of the big shows, and that's where they're going, and they want their path to get them there. Not so much out of the love of just fighting, but out of wanting to be, professional athlete that maybe has the potential of making millions.
Yep. I was going to ask you that question, then you kind of beat me to the punch. But I think it seems to me, and I'd like to get your take on it, is that at a point in time in the past, like you mentioned very well, is that if you were fighting, it's because you love to fight and you got something from it. And these days, with so many incentives like the UFC contracts and other promotions where you can make some big money, sponsorships, purses, the bright lights, the fame, the notoriety, all that kind of stuff, I think you see a lot more people getting into fighting, especially like really good athletes who learn how to become a fighter. I'm wondering if you see a distinction between somebody who's a fighter and somebody who's an athlete who fights.
Yeah, I think there's that. Where you get the magic is when you get that great kind of coming together. So you look at someone like, say, a GSP, a George St. Pierre. So you've got someone who's got a lot of just natural athletic talent. So that guy could have probably been any kind of athlete. That happens to mirror with, an absolute crazy work ethic, and then the fighter mentality. Like George
Mm-hmm.
grew up tough, and I know George from back in the day, and some of like one of his big coaches, Christophe Madou, and these guys are tough, right? They're
Mm-hmm.
tough kids that grew up. So you get that combination of the athlete with the work ethic combined with the fighter tough, and you get something super special. And I think all those real special guys probably have a bit of that in there. Um, I've run in with crazy talented guys who just have no work ethic. So they do well up
Mm-hmm.
to a point and then they fall away.
Mm-hmm.
Then you also have guys I've worked with who have just work ethic. But the work ethic doesn't quite get you to, where you would have been with all that natural talent. Like myself, I think I made the UFC just because I was a grinder. I was willing to,
Mm-hmm.
go out and run hills in the middle of the night and do things, and I was willing to take damage, but I never had that God given, talent that some of these guys have. So, you got to overcome what you lack in the talent by the hard work. Now, if you're blessed with the God given talent and the hard work, now you get something special. And I think guys like Ian, those young up and comers, he's naturally gifted and he has the work ethic, and he's very, very single minded in his focus. And he's been like that from, God, probably 10 years old. He's been, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make the UFC at 10. And we always were like, okay, cool. Let's see what happens when you discover girls. Let's see what happens when you get a driver's license and you get pounded through all of it. You just gym, 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 gym.
So we've talked a lot about the main event. Let's talk about the co-main event. So far, what I've seen on your Instagram, you only have 2 actual fights that are announced. There's a bunch of other fighters' names on there who will be fighting, but the co-main event is a 135 bout between Justin Knopfli and Curtis Anderson. I was wondering if you could talk about that matchup.
Yeah, Justin's a local guy. He's been here forever. He's a pro. He had a bunch of amateurs. He went to the nationals, in Lethbridge with Lee back in the day. Justin's good, tough grinder. Curtis Anderson's very much the same. He's with Dynamic out of in Calgary with Vince. Uh, so these guys are both tough grinders. So I would imagine that this is going to be one of those fights that could be, 3 5 minute rounds of just who wants it more is going to win
Mhm.
type of scrap.
Those are the kind of fights that the fans adore and they'll be screaming for if it happens like that.
Well, that and our feature pro fight. So those are our 3 pro fights that we announced. Is Timber Bigfoot, who's done some bare knuckle boxing against John Panopoulos. I'm going to say his name wrong. He's going to hate me. But these are both big 265-pound bangers, and they're doing a pro kickboxing fight. So we've got the
Wicked.
pro kickboxing fight and then 2 pro MMAs. And then on top of that, we've got 14 other amateur bouts.
That's exciting. Okay, Bill, it's been in the back of my mind for the past like 10 minutes is something I wanted to bring up. I'm just waiting for the right time and it never came. But I just want to talk about, I'm going to see if I can find, so when I post this interview, I'm going to try to include a photo. I remembered when you started talking, this photo popped in my mind. It was a photo from back in pretty sure it was Vancouver. It was you inside a ring with Jason the Athlete McDonald and Dennis Kang. And I just remember it was such an iconic photo. And I'm going to see if I can find. I'm wondering if you remember that photo.
Well, yeah, it was funny because Jason and I fought twice. I trained with Dennis almost through our entire careers. Like Dennis and I are super tight friends. We've been all over the world together. He was in my corner at the UFC. I was in his corner on numerous fights in for Pride and Bushido and in Korea. Yeah, and I'd fought Jason and twice. He beat me the first time. I beat him the second, and then we kind of started training together. So he would come up and train with me and Dennis. And again, there was just so few people to train. So we actually trained together. There was a camp that was created in Vernon at one point. So the three of us came together. And you might remember Joe Dirksen. Even Joe Dirksen was there with us. There was a bunch of, up and coming guys. And yeah, so there was a bunch of training we did together. Jason would come and stay with us in Vancouver, and and we'd all train together. So yeah, there was probably a few of those pictures. We were all managed together under an Epic Fight Management, which was a guy named Greg Allen, who was involved with the original Bodog, and so the three of us were kind of like the marquee guys that he signed, and that was probably one of those pictures.
Yeah. Well, it's good times, good memories from back in the day, and I'm excited for you that you're still around. You're still contributing to the sport. You're doing what you can do to help promote it, which I absolutely love. So I guess that's it for me, Bill. So I always like ending my interviews. I like to ask the question, is there anything you think we should have talked about that I didn't ask?
There's so much to talk about. Like you're a lot like me. We could probably sit here and do a 5-hour interview and talk MMA because the sport's huge. I'm in love with the MMA sport. It's the reason you keep doing it. It's not like for a coach or even back in the day for a fighter, there's really any money in it. There's a lot of pain and suffering, and MMA is a very bad girlfriend. Can be very hard on you with the ups and the downs, with the wins and the losses. I swear that when my guys lose a fight, it's harder on me than it is on them.
Mm-hmm.
But you love it so much, you just keep doing it. So I would imagine, guys like Lee, myself, David Lee, all the old school guys, we're going to be at this, till they basically shovel us into the ground.
Yeah. Well, hopefully that's not anytime soon.
Appreciate it.
All right, Bill. Thanks again for your time. There you go, fight friends. Bill Mahood, founder, owner, promoter of Extreme Fighting Championship taking place in Grande Prairie, Alberta this upcoming weekend. Make sure you tune in. Karim, it's nice to see you again. It's got to be an exciting time for you. It's fight week and you're fighting in PFL Nigeria. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good, Andy. Thank you for having me.
It's my pleasure. Yeah. We chatted just a little bit before this interview, and I reminded you that we had actually met before. I saw you fight in person in Kingston almost exactly 3 years ago, just over 3 years ago in Kingston, Ontario, where you beat Liam Gallagher. And that was the first time I really had my eyes open to you and your skill level. You looked excellent that night. And every subsequent fight since then, you performed just as well. You're an excellent, excellent fighter. So I'm really happy for you that you're getting this big opportunity in fighting for the PFL Africa. This is your third fight with them. Tell me, overall, what are your thoughts on fighting for PFL and how's that experience been like?
It's amazing. It has nothing to do with competing in Canada. PFL, it's an international fight league, It's not like any promotion in Canada. I can tell you, there's a huge difference. Fighting in the regional scene. Mm-hmm. If you fight in, it's not at those those organizations are bad. It's just that they're not there, you know? It's like how they treat you, like how they pay you and everything. Like I can tell you, when you fight in Canada, whether it's Samurai or BPC, it's like it's like fighting like amateur. I don't want to like blast them because like they gave me a platform to be where I am today. You know, I really like all my fights with them, but like how they treat you compared to PFL, it has like nothing to do. It's like when you jump to the UFC and you compare to Samurai, like you can't really compare those organization with Canadian organization. But yeah, I'm really happy to be where I am today.
What kind of things does PFL do that makes them so special for you?
Well, let's say like they pay like first of all for everything. So you get there, they fly you wherever the fight happen. Then when you get there, they give you uh like like $1,000 cash, and they say like do whatever you want with it. Like it's not even like in the contract. You just when you come, they give you cash like for spending or whatever. They give you like a
Sure.
credit card. They go like whatever you need. They there. They answer. You say, oh, I need a room with a bath. I need this. I need. They all there. You know. You have like all like there's like you have everybody have like a manager, not like my manager, but everybody have a manager that PFL attribute like each fighter, and like so you can call them anytime during the week, and like they give you whatever you need, and it's just the way they treat you is like a whole different like level. Like they pay for your food, they pay the like for your hotel, they pay for your expenses, and I don't know. And they really like, and they pay good also, you know. They pay
Yeah.
like at least like 4 times, 5 times more than what like whatever they can pay in Canada.
Sure. How did you get initially contacted with the PFL? Did your manager do that for you? And if so, who's your manager and how did that work?
No, actually, that's why I parted away with my manager, because he couldn't find me this opportunity, and my friend and coach Xavier Halawi like told me, "Yo, I've been
Yeah.
talking about you like to them, and they interested." And then I was like, "Okay," and then I asked my okay. So there you go. So yeah, so my manager couldn't find me this opportunity. He said I wasn't ready. He said I need to forward like 3, 4 more times. And well, actually, Xavier had that opportunity for me. So I just say, all right, if you think I'm not ready for PFL or like bigger organization, I think I am. And look, this is my third fight, and it looked easy to me.
Yeah, you're 6-0 as a professional fighter. You had a really good amateur career as well. So this is your third
Mhm.
fight. So assuming everything goes well, you'll be 7-0. And I know that the PFL Africa, there's a distinction between PFL and PFL MENA or Africa, which is Middle Eastern and North Africa. So usually when they bring in fighters, it's because they have an African connection. Am I correct in remembering that your family or background is from Algeria?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Both my parents from Algeria, so that's why I'm representing Algeria in that tournament.
Nice. Do you have any kind of I'm not sure where you were born, but do you have any connection or family still in Algeria?
I was born in Canada, Montreal. Um, Maybe I think I have a grandmother in Algeria, but no, most of my family are in France or Canada.
Okay.
But I'm still Algerian. I mean,
Yeah. No, we all have our backgrounds. We all have our roots that we belong to, and I think it's kind of cool that you
Mhm.
get a chance to embrace that.
Yeah. I'm really proud to represent them, and I do also speak Arabic. So I speak
Okay,
Arabic,
nice.
French, English. So I'll represent them on the international scene.
I think even just that alone makes you very marketable because even though you're fighting in the PFL Africa, you do have a Canadian culture upbringing. But if you speak Arabic, I mean, you could fight in UAE Warriors, you could fight almost anywhere you want and probably find a way to get a good following.
Yeah, indeed. And what I like about PFL Africa is when you sign with PFL Africa, they also make you sign with the main PFL. So I actually signed both contracts. I signed
Wow.
PFL Africa contract and PFL International. So whatever happened, I can just jump in their international one and back and forth. So yeah, I'm in a good position right now.
If a spectator, if a fight fan has never seen Karim Henniene fight before, when they watch you in the cage, what are they going to see? What kind of fighter are you?
I mean, I'm unpredictable. I'm unpredictable for myself. Really, like usually people say, "Oh, I have a game plan. I'm gonna do that." No, I'm more the kind of guy who feel the fight. You know, I think like, and especially with me, I'm not like necessarily a striker or a grappler. I'm literally an MMA fighter. So if I see like you like striking, I'm gonna grapple you. If I see you like grappling, I'm gonna strike you. Like you can see if you watch it both my PFL African fight. My first opponent was a striker, and I wrestled him, and my second one was a wrestler, and I striked him.
Yeah.
So like I can adapt to any situation, and that's why I think I'm great.
Not only did you strike the wrestler, but you knocked him out with a beautiful flying knee, and that was probably one of the best KOs I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I work it out with my jab, and I see he was shooting head down. I was like, next time he shoot, he's meeting my knee.
Yeah. And that visualization, it worked because that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Now, when you talk about how if he's a wrestler, you're going to strike. If he's a striker, you're gonna take him to the ground. That's pure 100% page out of the playbook of George St. Pierre, and of course Montreal connection right there. That kind of attitude, I'm wondering, is that something you had on your own, or do you learn it from GSP, or is that you learn through your training?
That's a good question. Actually, like I think we all Canadian has been inspired by GSP, but my style it's like a little bit more. Like I think GSP, he's more like he have a game plan. You know, I still don't really have game plan. I just feel the fight. You know, I feel the fight, and I think I'm a smart fighter. You know, I'm not someone who take a lot of damage, stuff like that. So I can adapt to any situation. So yes, obviously I took it. If you want to say I took it from GSP, but also I think it's more my instinct.
Sure. Now, Karim, do me a favor. Just take me through what your training looks like. Where do you train? Who are your coaches? Who are your teammates? And how often do you train? Is training full time for you, or do you have a job as well?
No, I'm training full time now. Yeah,
that's amazing.
Finally, I'm happy. I'm living the dream life. So yeah, right now I'm training in Thailand. I'm training with Coach Chris. And yeah, it's Tiger Muay Thai. I train MMA. I train. I mean, in Tiger Muay Thai, we have it all. You know, we have really good wrestling with all the Russian, Chechen, Dagestani guys. We have excellent striking, Muay Thai. Obviously, we're in Thailand, and yeah, I think like Canada. The only thing we have more in Canada is Jiu-Jitsu. You know, so in Canada we really have a strong Jiu-Jitsu based ground game, but like to be honest, striking in Canada is shit. You know, you never see like a fucking Carlos Prates, Conor McGregor, or like Jan Gary, like a great striker coming out of Canada. They all wrestler / ground game. You know, but I think we're the best at it on the ground game. But you'll never see a great striker coming out of Canada. So if you want to improve your game, you got to travel, boy.
Do you live in Thailand full time, or is it just you go for a training camp?
I'm still figuring it out. I'm still trying to figure it out. But if everything goes good, I win the tournament, I'm living in Thailand for sure.
Yeah, nice. I'm just going to take a second, move my eyeballs to the fight page, and just read off the name of your opponent. You're fighting a guy named Thimna Mahali. Oh, sorry, Malawi. Sorry. When you
kill his name.
I was close. I got the second time, I think.
Not even.
No,
but it's fine.
How do you say it then?
No, it's cool. Let's destroy his name. I like that.
So anyway, when you offered him as an opponent, what did you think about him? Like, did you know who he was? Did you see him fight already? And what do you think as an opponent?
I mean, I just Google his name. You can right away see he's a wrestler, and he's a wrestler. That's it. And for me, it doesn't matter if you're a wrestler or a striker. Just like we talked before, I adapt in any situation, and I'm a better MMA fighter overall. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't matter if you're a good wrestler or a good striker. I'm a better MMA fighter overall.
Yeah.
So whatever the fight take place, I have the advantage.
Okay, well, Karim, it's super exciting. This is a great time for you. You're a young man with a bright future ahead of you. I always like to finish my interviews by asking the question, is there anything that you think we should have talked about that I didn't ask?
Nah, we're good.
We're good? Okay, good. All
Yeah,
right, I did my job.
thank you.
All right.
Yeah,
Karim, thank you so much, my man. I appreciate all your time. I wish you the best of luck this weekend. I'll be rooting for you, and we'll talk again soon.
thank you, Andy.
Take care.
Talk to you soon.
Nick Falcao, it's good to see you again. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing fantastic. Hope you're doing the same.
I am doing fantastic. I get to talk to a fighter about fighting. What could be better?
Yeah, exactly.
So do me a favor, Nick. We'll talk about why we're talking right now in a moment, but maybe you could just take a second, because my audience spans from one side of Canada to the other. Just take a second, introduce yourself, say your name, who you are, where you're from, and why we're talking right now.
My name is Nick Falcao. I'm 30 years old. I'm from Montreal, Quebec. We're talking because I've got a big fight in about a week. Saturday coming up, the 13th of June. I'll be fighting for the 135-pound championship at FightQuest.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. It's actually Fight Quest number 61. They are a very solid, respected, long-running organization for amateur fighting in Quebec. So it's fantastic that you get to fight for one of their titles. Congratulations on that.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's going to be the first time I compete for FightQuest. I fought at Nova, I fought at MFL, but never
Yep.
FightQuest. I'm excited for it.
So we talked very briefly before the actual interview started. Just explain for a moment your background in combat sports. You said you got started in COVID, didn't you?
Yes, exactly. So around 2021, it was at the time Quebec had shut everything down. We weren't allowed to go to no gyms, nothing at all. And the gym that I'm at now, TriStar West Island, was one of the only places that actually left their doors open for people to come by and train and keep somewhat of a normality in life. And ever since then, I've been showing up every day, and here we are.
Here we are for sure. So you're fighting for the bantamweight championship, Fight Quest. You're fighting a man called Rita Dreff. You actually fought him once already your last fight, and you beat him in your last fight. So do you anticipate anything being different this go around?
For sure. I know he's going to be hungry. He wants that fight back. I know he's got some revenge in his mind. I'm sure he's been training for it ever since the day that it happened. And that's what excites me because I know it's going to be a challenge, and that's what I'm up for.
You mentioned before to me that you kind of fell into this by accident during COVID, just something to do. Then it turns out you're actually pretty good at it, and you kept going, and now you're fighting for a championship. You're still an amateur, so I'm wondering, what are your future plans? Is this something you want to pursue long term? Do you have a career? What do you do outside fighting, or is this what you do full time now?
It's recently become something I've done full time as of January. I used to be a truck driver before.
Mm-hmm.
I was driving trucks for 12 hours, 15 hours a day. So it took a lot of time out of my life. And,
Yeah.
it made a big difference. And since the last fight, I had plans to go professional, but nothing came up since then. So this opportunity came to my attention, and I was more than glad to take it.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
So you said TriStar West Island. Talk about your situation there. Who are your coaches? Is that Alex Morgan's gym?
No,
West Island?
it's actually Xavier Aloui.
Okay.
So I work under Xavier and also Paul Tabet. They're my two
Yep.
coaches. And yeah, they're awesome guys. If it weren't for them, there's no way I would have been even close to being ready for the last fight, and nowhere near the amount of skill that I would have right now.
Speaking about your skill, talk about you as a fighter. If somebody was to watch Nick Falcao for the first time inside a cage and you had an excellent fight, what would that fan walk away thinking about you? What kind of fighter are you?
So I fell in love with jiu-jitsu in the beginning. It was something that came to me a lot easier. Striking took a little bit more of time. It was a little bit more of a challenge. So I would say up until my last fight, I was primarily a grappler. But things are starting to slowly change now, and I'm getting more confidence in my hands and my strikes. So I would say I'm pretty well rounded at this point.
Nice. So if this is something you're doing full time, you must have a fairly busy training week. Take us through what a training week looks like for you.
Training week would look like, depending on the day, I train mostly every day. Obviously, some days are going to go lighter than others so that I can also have that recovery. But most days I'm doing striking and grappling, both, as well as conditioning. And depending how intense my grappling striking sessions are, the conditioning will be a little bit lighter and vice versa.
Yeah, for sure. Is
Yeah.
there any part of the game, you said you were kind of into jiu-jitsu at the start. Is there any part of the fight game that you're really drawn to now that you think you're especially good at and that you focus on?
I would say, in general, like I said, I'm starting to become a lot more well-rounded. So I'm focusing less on my grappling, not focusing less on my grappling, but in terms to say that I have more confidence going from striking to grappling
Mm.
and grappling to
Yeah.
striking, and it's pretty obvious if you looked at film from my first 3-4 fights that I was primarily just going for takedowns and trying to get top control and grapple my way to a victory. But I believe now I've acquired enough skills to be confident enough standing in front of anybody.
Yeah, I've said for years, I said for a long time that at this point when the skill level fighters in general, even amateur fighters, is so good. Like like years ago, if you watch, say 10, 15 years ago, if you'd watch an amateur fight, you'd be able to look at them and say, those guys are amateurs. You'd know. These days, it's a different story, man. Amateur fighters are so skilled and so well rounded that it's really difficult to find a distinction between them and professionals other than the paycheck. So
Yeah.
so how do you differentiate yourself as somebody who can defeat somebody who might be as equally skilled as you? And I've always said that you have to look for those micro moments that you can sort of pick up a couple points or a couple ways ahead, and those to me are the transition times. Everyone, like a lot of people can grapple now, a lot of people can strike, a lot of people can clinch, but what you do in that half a second between the transition period when you move one for the other, I think that's a very underrated aspect to prepare for.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's at the point that I'm at now. So it's, like mixing everything together makes me a little bit harder to deal with at this point now. I think my biggest quality is probably my mind and my heart.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that I had before I had any of the skill. So it's something that really allowed me to push through the adversity and any difficulty that I might have had, whether it be in training or being injured or
Mm-hmm.
whatnot. And it's obviously made a difference because I'm still here training. Like I said, I started at 25. It's kind of late to start a combat sport at that age, and I've been through enough to say I've had the opportunity to turn my back on the sport, and walk away and do
Mm-hmm.
something else in my life. But there's nothing else I'd rather do. So
Is it all encompassing? Do you do anything else in your life? Do you have any hobbies? What do you do for fun?
that is my fun. It really that is my fun. It's I still play soccer here and there, but there's really nothing else I'd rather do. Whether it be training or training people, it's something that it's become somewhat of a calling for me, and
Mm-hmm.
everything makes sense with it in my life. So there's nothing else I'd rather do.
Great. Now, I confess I'm not the most knowledgeable person about soccer or football, but I do know that at high levels, your cardio has to be pretty insane because you're essentially running for a 90-minute straight or more. I'm wondering if your cardio is it something that was good when you were a soccer player, and if that has carried on to fighting?
I would say so. Yeah. When I was playing soccer, I was primarily a striker, but I was well rounded in that sport as well. So whenever there would be a position missing or someone was injured, I would be able to fill that position pretty
Mm.
flawlessly, and I'd pretty much play full games all the time. I'd play multiple games a week. I'd be called up to the senior team like the year older. So it's definitely something that's carried on from soccer into combat sports.
That's awesome. I'm getting tired just hearing you talk about it. So I'm going to ask you to sort of run through something with me. I
Yeah.
want you to think forward to next weekend. It's the morning after the fight. You're maybe still awake from your excitement from the night before after you had your hand raised in victory, or maybe you got a few hours sleep. As you reflect on last night and your victory, what did a perfect fight look like to Nick Falcao?
Well, anyone would probably say a quick finish, but I'm the type of guy who likes the adversity. So if some if I have some adversity to overcome and I can overcome that, then that's perfect for me. You know what I mean?
Yep. I saw an interview with Mandel Nalo probably within the past month. It was filmed at the UFC Fight Night in Winnipeg. So that would have been April 18th. And he said something that's just, I've been thinking a lot lately. The way he described fighting is that when you're in your fight career, every fight you take should be with the goal of solving a problem. And what he meant by that, and this is, I'm paraphrasing, is that every opponent, every fight you take should be there to help you progress past a certain point. So like if you're fighting a striker, you need to find a way to beat a striker at his own game or change the game to take him out. You have to find a way to compensate for whatever your opponent brings to the table. So you shouldn't take a fight just for the sake of fighting, because you're preparing yourself for the future. You want to get better. You want to increase your skill set. So I'm wondering if, I know I haven't given you a chance to really think about this yet, but I'm wondering if there's anything that you want to accomplish during this fight that'll help set you up for future success.
I've been talking about it. I'd definitely be interested in getting a finish on the feet or a TKO, striking, something like that. I think it's something that would help push my future career a long way. It's one of the only things that I'm missing in my resume is a finish on the feet. I've gotten multiple submission finishes early in the fight, but definitely finishing a fight striking and showing all the work that I've put in striking would be amazing to me.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, Nick, we're at the point of the interview where I'm going to ask you the question I ask all my subjects. Is there anything that you think we should have talked about that I didn't ask you?
Interesting. Honestly, I think we got to the point of pretty much what needed to be said.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty happy with what I've put out there. And if there's anything else that you want to ask me, then by all means.
I think I'm good for now, but I do want to know if there's anybody you'd like to thank, if you have any family, friends, coaches, teammates you'd like to mention.
For sure, I'd like to thank my mother, first of all. She helped me a lot with being able to make the transition, full time. For sure, my coaches, Xavier and Paul, they've invested a lot of time in me, and without them, these opportunities wouldn't even be possible. They put a lot of trust in my ability, and they see the work that I put in, and they're putting me in positions to be able to show that off.
Awesome. Okay, Nick, I'd like to thank you very much for your time. You seem like you're a terrific young man. I wish you all the best. Congratulations on all your success so far. And I hope on fight night at Fight Quest 61 against Rita, you are your best self that night and you perform to the best of your abilities. So good luck.
Awesome. I really appreciate that. Thanks for your time.
All right, see you.
See ya.